Please subscribe to Bear Nerd Fun. Smash the like button. Goodbye.
Now come on now. Stop smelling farts. You might get mistaken for horse sniffers. Hail to all, where we do not kneel. Hail to all. Just want to give a shout out to Doomcock at Overlord DVD. Congratulations on fans raising money for a charity to get Doomcock unblocked by William Shatner. Congratulations. Wish you the best. Hail to all. Well, hello, this is Bear at Bear Nerd Fun. Well, a new article that I found on screenrant. Yes, it's about Star Wars. Star Wars hints Emperor Palpatine forced Luke into exile. That's a hell of a title. Star Wars hints Emperor Palpatine forced Luke into exile. Star Wars The Last Jedi divided fans when it revealed the fate of Luke Skywalker, having turned his back on his family, his friends, and the entire galaxy along with them. Little side note, the Luke Skywalker in the EU was a Jedi Grandmaster. Didn't turn his back on anybody. Was able to do things beyond what was ever written in the movies. So, yeah. He was a very loved character in the movies and in the EU. Especially in the EU. He was written so awesome. I'd like to see some of those writers in that EU write a screenplay and a script for a Star Wars movie. That would be great. Well, Star Wars The Last Jedi fate of Luke Skywalker having turned his back on his family, his friends, and the entire galaxy along with them. As a result, the First Order rose unchecked, putting the blood of millions on Luke's hands. At least to his harshest critics. But a new glimpse into Luke's unseen adventures suggests he may not be to blame at all, and that his self-imposed exile wasn't just his decision, but the direct influence of Emperor Palpatine, only thought to have died in Return of the Jedi. On a side note, they really haven't gave very much details about what role Emperor Palpatine is going to play. So, think J.J. Abrams' mystery box. When it's revealed, it's not been much of a big mystery, and it's always fell flat, as far as I'm concerned. Back to the article. Now that fans know Emperor Palpatine is returning in Star Wars 9, it's time to reconsider what they thought they knew about Luke's victory and the reasons he retired to Ahch-To. It's tragic enough that Luke Skywalker lost faith, but he soon replaced it with guilt, anger, and doubt instead, since those emotions and defeats proved far more effective in driving him out of the war and into isolation than a lightsaber ever could have. It's worth reconsidering what role Emperor Palpatine played in Luke's eventual exile, because as it turns out, Luke decided to do exactly what the Emperor always hoped he would. Man, I could just hear Doomcock saying multiple words, expletives behind what I just read. I could just picture his reaction to this article. Oh, there's a little, they're showing a little comic bit, as in comics. The first time the Emperor reached out to Luke. Here's the comic part. It says, "I don't know where you are, and you can't even hear me, can you? But I can read your heart, and you can sense the truths I speak." From what I'm looking at, this is supposed to be the Emperor putting these words inside his head. The next box has Luke Skywalker holding his lightsaber. Yes, Major. I just thought for a second there. Yes? It's nothing, he says to the Major. Interesting. As hard as it may be for some to believe that the Emperor influenced Luke well beyond his presumed death, the newly released Star Wars Age of Rebellion, Luke Skywalker is compelling evidence. The issue is just one of the larger series intended to flesh out the new Star Wars canon with never-before-seen moments, and conflicts, or internal conflicts, and it is this new canonical flashback that Star Wars fans get to witness a moment they never knew took place. The first time Emperor Palpatine reached out for Luke Skywalker using the Force and made contact. Now, you know what? I got a problem with that. I got a problem with them messing with a character, Disney changing a character to suit its own political or signifying, just them signifying what they want to signify. Yeah, I'm so irritated I lost my words. Back to the article. The Emperor is successful in making contact, even if Luke could only sense a sudden presence of darkness, and Palpatine could only convey suggestions. Most fans will assume that the Emperor reached out to Luke in an attempt to seduce him using the dark side, and compel him to become his new apprentice, as he did when they finally met aboard the second Death Star. But as the story from Greg Pak, Chris Sprouse, Scott Koblish, and Stefan Landini, I think I ruined some of those names, shows, the Emperor didn't want to pull Luke closer. He wanted to push him right out of the war completely. So, Emperor Palpatine almost talked Luke into quitting. This is from that comic that they're talking about, or graphic novel. You let them ignore you, even though you know they're weak, even though you know you're strong. This is the Emperor saying this. But it doesn't have to be this way. I can't put a vision into your mind, but I can feel you forming one already. Just imagine. If you believe that the Emperor wanted to possess Luke Skywalker like he had intended to do with Anakin, then his new story may be a problem. But in hindsight, it does seem like the simplest strategy the Emperor could have taken. By this point, Luke has distinguished himself as not just a hero of the rebellion, but the sole reason for their success in defying the Empire, and knowing that he is a Skywalker. Palpatine stokes all the same pride, resentment, and doubt in Luke as he did in Anakin. To justify one action, fly away, leave your war behind. Realize that authority figures are all the same and don't serve them when you can serve yourself. It is a strong reminder of just what made Palpatine so successful as a leader and manipulator. More than anyone else, Star Wars is the story of Sheev Palpatine, exposing and taking advantage of hypocrisy, greed, ego, apathy, and weakness. When people like himself or Anakin or Luke are capable of doing so much on their own, any hindrance can lead to frustration. So at the precise moment that Luke's instincts in the Force are ignored by his commander, and thoughts and thousands of lives are put in danger because of it, Palpatine makes his move as Luke Skywalker eyes roll back, losing consciousness and succumbing to the power of Palpatine. The readers see what Luke does and what Palpatine wants him to. What would happen if Luke stopped fighting? Luke had a clear vision of what would await him if he decided to turn his back on the bureaucracy, corruption, endless struggles of the rebels and the Empire, and decided to just fly away to a distant world. Once there, he sinks his iconic X-Wing beneath the waves and tosses aside his lightsaber, informing R2-D2 that those items are no longer of any use. In some obvious ways, Luke's vision of retirement is a return to the life that he would have had if he never left Tatooine in search of glory and adventure, and stumbling upon a small community of farmers. Luke finds his place, finds love, and grows old with children at his knee. At this point in Luke's story, he still believed that his life could hold such happiness, but the fantasy is soon broken and Luke regains his senses in time to make his heroic rescue of the rebel soldiers in peril. The Emperor is enraged, but remember, this is literally the Emperor's first attempt to deal with Luke Skywalker, a Jedi Knight far less corruptible than his father had been. And with Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker now approaching, fans must ask themselves if the Emperor's seduction ended up working after all. Oh boy. I don't really care for that. I don't like that. I don't like that. It's inventive. It's ingenious. But it disgraces a character in order to do it. Okay, back to the article. Sure, the urgency and immediacy of the war combined with Luke's own spirit and youthful exuberance pulled him out of his darkness the first time. But what about when the war is won and the rebel victories and the Empire vanquished and the universe saved, only for history to simply repeat itself with a new empire, a new rebellion, another family torn apart? From the description above, it should be clear that the temptation offered by the Emperor, leave the war, sink your X-Wing, and stop believing you can change the galaxy, is almost exactly what Luke ends up doing, and for mostly the same reasons. Well, darn, it's easy to do that when you already know what happened in The Last Jedi. Just go write a story that fits it, to fit the narrative. I don't like it. Even ignoring the evidence that Emperor Palpatine corrupted Ben Solo, not Snoke, setting Luke's exile into motion, the case is compelling. Back during the rebellion, Palpatine needed to drive Luke away from the fight so it could be won. When the new Star Wars trilogy begins, it is made abundantly clear that Luke may be the key to this entire conflict, and no matter what, the survival of the First Order demands that the Resistance never find Luke Skywalker, with the filmmakers admitting that the return to Emperor Palpatine was always the plan, and he was therefore still potentially influencing events through or beyond the Force. His new encounter connects the dots perfectly. Now, I don't believe that for a minute. This is my opinion. This is my opinion, and I think that they did not plan this. I think they added the Emperor to pull fans back in on nostalgia. A lot of other YouTubers have said so. We all seem to think the same thing, that they're pulling on nostalgia to pull on our heartstrings. That's what I think, and that's my opinion. So, back to the article. If the First Order is Palpatine's second chance... Wait a minute. And no matter what the survival of the First Order demands, that the Resistance never find Luke Skywalker, with the filmmakers admitting that the return of the Emperor Palpatine was always in the plan. Yeah, and he was therefore still potentially influencing events through or beyond the Force. This new encounter connects the dots perfectly. If the First Order is Palpatine's second chance, and he needed Luke to actually run away and stay away this time, then it's no coincidence that the Emperor's original plan finally comes true. We wouldn't say that it lets Luke completely off the hook, since he was manipulated by Emperor Palpatine, just like his father. But it would make sure his decision to give up on the galaxy easier to understand. Well, yeah, that's a whole mixed bag of it. Yeah, I just, nope. I don't know. Yeah, I think I've been done. And the only reason I'm just, done. I'm just going to go see the movie so that way I can review it and put it out there. See what I think. Hail to all. This is Bear at Bear Nerd Fun.
Please subscribe to Bear Nerd Fun. Smash the like button. Goodbye.
Now come on, Hollywood. Stop smelling your own farts. You might get mistaken for arse sniffers. Hail to all, where we do not kneel. Hail to all. Just want to give a shout out to Doomcock at Overlord DVD. Congratulations on fans raising money for a charity to get Doomcock unblocked by William Shatner. Congratulations. Wish you the best. Hail to all.